It was supposed to be a reward. 10-year-old Juan Pedro Martínez Gómez had just finished the school year with excellent grades, and his father, Andrés Martínez, wanted to do something special for him. Andrés, a long-distance truck driver from the small town of Los Cánovas in Murcia, Spain, decided to take his son along on a work trip to the north of the country. His wife, Carmen Gómez, joined them as well, both to keep her husband company and to help look after their son. The family of 3 set off on the evening of June 24, 1986, in Andrés's Volvo F12 truck, which was hauling a dangerous cargo, 25,000 liters of 98% pure sulfuric acid. Their destination was Bilbao, and the journey would take them through the rugged terrain of the Somosierra mountain pass. The next morning, they stopped for breakfast at a roadside inn called Mesón Aragon in Cabanillas de la Sierra, just outside Madrid. The waiter remembered them clearly, especially Juan Pedro, who was dressed head to toe in red. It was the last confirmed sighting of the boy. Shortly after leaving the inn, the truck began its ascent of the Somosierra Pass. According to the vehicle's tachograph, which recorded the truck's movements, something strange happened during this stretch of road. Over the course of 18 kilometers, the truck made 12 brief and unexplained stops. Most lasted only a second or two, but one stop lasted a full 22 seconds. Then, without warning, the truck accelerated to a dangerously high speed, between 110 and 140 kilometers per hour, and began a reckless descent down the mountain. It collided with several vehicles before crashing and overturning. Emergency responders arrived quickly. They found the bodies of Andrés and Carmen in the cab. Both had died on impact. The sulfuric acid had spilled from the ruptured cistern, burning everything it touched. But there was no sign of Juan Pedro. His body was not in the truck nor anywhere nearby. What they did find was some of his belongings, a piece of his shoe sole, children's cassette tapes, and clothing. These items confirmed that he had been in the truck at some point, but where was he now? At first, the police proposed a chilling theory that Juan Pedro's body had been completely dissolved by the sulfuric acid. Given the nature of the cargo, it seemed plausible, but forensic experts quickly dismissed this idea. They explained that for a human body to dissolve entirely in sulfuric acid, it would need to be fully submerged for several days. Even then, certain parts, like teeth, bones, nails, and plastic buttons, would remain. The bodies of Andrés and Carmen, though burned, were still intact. Emergency services had arrived within minutes of the crash, making it impossible for the acid to have destroyed a body so completely. The acid theory was ruled out. With the most immediate explanation debunked, attention turned to other possibilities. One theory suggested that Juan Pedro had been thrown from the truck during the crash and had wandered off disoriented or injured. The terrain around the crash site was rugged and remote, and it was conceivable that a frightened child might have fled the scene. But this theory too began to unravel. A massive search operation was launched, involving helicopters, dogs, horses, and dozens of searchers on foot. They scoured a 20 to 30 kilometer radius around the crash site for days. Not a single trace of Juan Pedro was found. Then came the most enduring and controversial theory that Juan Pedro had been kidnapped. His uncle, Juan Garcia Legaz, became the most vocal proponent of this idea. He believed that Andrés had been coerced into transporting drugs, possibly heroin, hidden in the truck's cistern. According to this theory, Juan Pedro had been taken as collateral by a drug trafficking ring to ensure that Andrés completed the delivery. The 12 unexplained stops recorded by the tachograph were interpreted as forced halts, possibly orchestrated by another vehicle blocking the road. The 22nd stop in particular was seen as the moment when the kidnappers took the boy. Supporting this theory were several witness accounts. Multiple people reported seeing a white Nissan Vanette van at the crash site shortly after the accident. A man and a woman, described by some as Nordic-looking, were seen searching the wreckage and removing a bundle before speeding away. Some witnesses claim the woman identified herself as a nurse. Others said there was an elderly woman in the van as well. Despite an investigation into over 3,000 similar vehicles, the van was never found. No license plate was recorded. A year after the crash, media reports claimed that heroin had been discovered in the truck's cistern. This seemed to confirm the drug trafficking theory. But once again, the evidence fell apart. The supposed heroin was actually a blanket wrapped in a firefighter's jacket, used as an improvised plug to stop the acid leak. Laboratory tests found no trace of drugs. Still, the family insisted that Andrés had been threatened by a criminal network and that Juan Pedro had been taken by force. Adding to the mystery were a series of strange deaths. 3 witnesses who had reportedly seen the white van, 2 shepherds and a child, died in unusual accidents shortly after the crash. One was killed in a head-on collision. The others were struck by red cars in separate incidents. The civil guard dismissed these deaths as unrelated, but Juan Pedro's uncle found the timing suspicious. There were also reported sightings of Juan Pedro in the months and years following the crash. One of the most intriguing came in 1987, when a driving school owner in Madrid claimed to have seen a boy resembling Juan Pedro with a blind Iranian woman. The woman was asking for directions to the US Embassy. The boy, who spoke with an Andalusian accent, seemed disoriented. The witness was convinced it was Juan Pedro, but the lead was never followed up. Despite the family's tireless efforts, the case went cold. In 2008, Juan Pedro's grandmother provided a DNA sample for Spain's Project Phoenix, a database for identifying missing persons. In 2015, a potential match was found with unidentified remains in Guadalajara, but it turned out to be a false positive. The family requested the exhumation of Andrés and Carmen to obtain their DNA for further testing, but the court denied the request. And to this day, Juan Pedro's DNA is not in any official database. The disappearance of Juan Pedro Martínez Gómez remains one of the most perplexing mysteries in European criminal history. It is a case marked by investigative missteps, conflicting theories, and a profound sense of loss. For his family, the pain has never faded. His grandmother cried for him every day until her death. His uncle continues to search for answers, convinced that the truth has been buried beneath years of silence and neglect. Nearly 4 decades later, the question still echoes through the mountains of Somosierra. What happened to Juan Pedro? If you have a mystery you think deserves a second look, or you just want to support the channel, like this video and join the investigation by subscribing. Stay curious, stay aware, and I'll see you on the next episode of Shadowline Mysteries.